CNBC Wednesday.
Here's a look at today's upgrades and downgrades. Cigna raised to buy. It was a neutral at UBS. The firm's cited valuation on that one. Price target on the stock $50. Right now you see it trades up 4%, 41.42. Another call at UBS. It's rating on the gap. They cite valuation on that one. The stock today down 0.5%. They cut it to a neutral. They was a buy. The price target 22. And then an upgrade for Anheuser-Busch and Molson Coors. Stifel Securities boosting its ratings on the companies to buy. They had them at hold. The firm says that fundamental expectations too negative for Anheuser-Busch, and they see further potential upside, they say, for structural changes benefiting things. And Molson, both stocks do trade higher. Maria.
Dylan, commodities rebounding today after that big sell-off last week. They've reached the top, some people may think, but others say they still have room to run. Joining me now to talk about that is Rebecca Patterson, Global Head of Foreign Exchange and Commodities for JP Morgan Private Bank, along with Steve Leuthold, Chairman and Chief Investment Officer for Leuthold Capital Management. Good to have you both on the program. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
So let's first talk about that sell-off last week, Steve. To what do you attribute the money coming off the table in commodities last week and this rebound today?
Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, of course, they were on pretty much of a stilt, at least in the grains you were seeing that. But secondly, I think a lot of hedge funds have come to play in the commodities arena, and I think a lot of them had some of their credit pulled back from their prime brokers, and they had to maybe reduce some positions.
I see. So really it wasn't anything fundamental, but more so just big players taking chips off the table.
Well, maybe, but fundamental in that they were overpriced, so I guess that would be fundamental, at least in the grains.
Rebecca, how do you see it?
Well, I'd agree. It's mainly a technical pullback that we saw last week. To the degree investors lost a lot of money in other asset classes, you need to take some profits where you can, so your overall portfolio still looks okay.
What do you want to do at this point then? Which groups do you expect have further moves to run, and perhaps which have topped out?
Well, personally, we see the most upside in precious metals and certain, but certainly not all, agricultural products. But that said, we still think commodities broadly, even the energy space, are going to stay well supported this year. We just like positioning clients in dynamic strategies, so when you get this volatility, when you have some downturns, you protect yourself on the downside as well. With this level of financial investment in the commodity space, you have to be careful about those bouts of volatility.
You know, isn't it interesting though, the moves that we've seen, even on the the companies that are the leaders here have huge market values. You look at a BHP Billiton versus any pick one in the financials, and you've got a huge overextension there on BHP Billiton. Is this based on real fundamentals in terms of growth expectations?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we've got a chart you can put up there that shows the industrial metals stocks compared to the LME index, which is the London Metals Exchange Index. And you can see that they're both kind of laboring. They're hardly in stilt formations. They're up testing their highs of 2006. And in addition, you can look at things like zinc, and you can look at lead, and you can look at nickel that are all way down from their highs. So
right.
You have to be very selective here. It isn't across the board. And those things are more dependent on the underlying factors of supply and demand. And the demand is definitely slowing on a global basis.
Well, that's the key there. Good to have you both with us. Thanks so much, Rebecca, Stephen. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Just ahead, we have